Tavish Mahanti has been chosen as our student speaker. Tavish is graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Ecology, Behavior, and Evolution, and a minor in creative writing. During his 4 years at UCLA, he has explored diverse avenues of leadership, storytelling, and scientific research. As part of the UCLA Residential Life's programming board, he organized events and excursions for students on the Hill. He later served as Cinematic Affairs Chair for Delta Kappa Alpha, UCLA Professional Cinematic Society, where he executive produced several creative projects and wrote, directed, and starred in his first short film. A passionate writer, Tavish has received both the 2024 Ruth Brill Scholarship and the 2025 David Wong Louis Creative Writing Award for Outstanding Fiction from the UCLA Department of English. He has also worked as a staff writer, editor, and DJ for Outright News Magazine and UCLA Radio. Through the EEB department, Tavish has helped conduct research on migratory and coastal birds in January. In January, he completed his senior research project through the department's Field Biology Quarter in Peru, studying primate behavior in the Amazon rainforest.
Hello everyone. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. My dad is in the audience, so shout out to Papa. To all in the audience today and to those who have supported us these past 4 years, the professors who provided every resource at their availability, to the TAs who poured over notes with us during office hours, to the friends who listened to us rattle on about organic chemistry, and to the family who encouraged us throughout it all. Thank you. And to the class of 2025, we're graduating. So I wanted to start off with just a short story as a creative writer. In January, I traveled to the Cochacashu Research Station in the Peruvian Amazon with 20 other Peruvians for our Field Biology Research Quarter. Where are my FBQers out there? Yeah. After 3 planes, 2 buses, and 2 boats, we finally arrived at our docking point along the Madre de Dios River. We disembarked in high spirits, buzzing like the sand flies around us. It was a short hike to the station, about a half mile, so we threw on our bags and started the trek. There we were, walking, along the sandbank, when all of a sudden, my TA starts to sink in front of me. The person to my right, the person to my left. Before I know it, I too am being pulled down by some invisible force. Knee-deep in pseudo-quicksand, we had to crawl our way out and form a human chain to pass each bag hand to hand, careful not to drop our scientific equipment into the river. We were soaked, bitten, and muddied, but we made it. That night, tucked into sleeping bags on foam mats, some of us cried quietly. Some of us journaled. Some fell fast asleep, exhausted. But the next morning, after a breakfast of boiled eggs and salt, everyone put on their still damp boots and went outside to kayak, to birdwatch, to catalog all the freaky insects around us. We had less than 4 weeks at the station, so everybody jumped right in. That spirit, the spirit of learning even in discomfort, is something deeply brewing. Staying curious in the face of obstacles, studying the world even when it feels like it's falling apart. It reminded me of freshman year, move-in day. My parents hugged me goodbye, and I sat on my loft bed, shaking. I wandered the halls of Hedrick Summit, hesitant to knock on doors and introduce myself. Then I saw a sign on a door that said, "If you like Nicki Minaj, don't bother knocking. Just come in." And it was in that room where I met several of my best friends in college. It started, of course, with, "What's your name? What's your major?" But then it quickly became so much more, because everyone was hungry to meet people they had never met, from places they had never been. That is the Bruin spirit, the instinct to learn about everything and everyone around us. Entering college, I loved both the creative arts and science, but I had no clear direction. I veered between interests, trying to figure out how to make an impact. I changed my major 6 times. I took classes across campus, from ornithology to screenwriting to computer science to clowning 101. Yes, we did learn how to mime. The indecision was terrifying. Then, in my sophomore year, one of my best friends convinced me to take the philosophy of mind. Early on in the class, we learned about animal minds, how to understand intelligence unlike our own. One species we focused on was the octopus. Cephalopods have one of the highest brain-to-body mass ratio for invertebrates, which indicates high intelligence. Of course, if you gave an octopus a thermodynamics problem, it probably wouldn't get far. But their intelligence shows up in other ways. Put an octopus in a jar and it'll learn how to unscrew the lid, not with prior knowledge, but with versatility, solving a problem completely outside of its natural world. Intelligence, I realized, is not just what you know. It's what you can learn and how you can adapt. If there's one thing we must carry forward, it is this. The world and even our campus has seen turmoil, but we are still here, still learning. Looking outward, we learn about ourselves. When I faced questions about my identity and my community, classes like LGBT studies and South Asian literature gave me new frameworks, new paths forward. And as campuses across the country are censored and defunded, as universities in Gaza are burned to the ground, as transgender students are vilified and attacked, as immigrants and their families are torn apart without due process, it is important that we remember we find our greatest impact in our ability to question, in our ability to stay informed, to stay educated, and to continue to learn from people we have never met, from places we have never been. That is where we find our direction, and that is where we find our impact. Now graduating in ecology, behavior, and evolution with a creative writing minor, I've realized that storytelling and science are not so different. Both ask us to look closely, one with words, the other with a microscope. So as we forge into a world that isn't organized into a neat 15-unit quarter, continue to look closely, continue to adapt, and remember the ones who gave you the opportunity and the space to do it. The people who read what you wrote and offered a fresh perspective. The people who asked you what you learned, not what you scored. The people who convinced you to keep going with that class, that project, that passion. One last story. In the Amazon, we were studying capuchin monkeys, which often meant crashing through the foliage, dodging urine and feces falling from the sky. But in one rare moment of peace, one capuchin paused, cocked its head, and gazed at me. I swear there was curiosity in his eyes. And for a moment, I wasn't sure who was observing who. Curiosity is in our nature. It is evolutionary. We share it with our distant cephalopod relatives, our capuchin cousins, and we share it with each other. So continue to be curious. We are entering a whole new jungle, and there is so much to see. Welcome to the wild, class of 2025.